RevBiz, Rev Business.
When you've been in the industry for over 20 years, you learn a few things. For one thing, you learn your product inside and out. But you also learn how to ask the right questions and give satisfying answers. Jim's Firearms.
Insurance companies have teams of professionals to fight your claim. If you want to know what your case is really worth, I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7970.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Good morning. It's 7 a.m. here on Thursday, January 25th. Today in Baton Rouge, we got another rainy one with a high of about 69. In hour one of today's show, we talk the latest with the NFL coaching news, and we recap LSU basketball as well. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram at OTB_ESPN, or watch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel. Hour number one of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. Yeah. Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
Yo, what's happening, everyone? Welcome in OTB Thursday, January 25th, 2024. Hope you're having a great day. T-Bob, Jake, Alondra, and Taylor hanging out with you this morning. Big news on the football front as the Jim Harbaugh domino finally fell last night. Big news for you, Jake. We'll get to it from that angle in terms of what it means for Jake's Chargers. I think we'll probably start with a conversation that I don't know that I feel needs to be had, but it is the one that from a show production standpoint, probably, you would be if somebody had demands on us of what we had to talk about, I think they would demand that we talk about this. That is the Brian Kelly angle. With this Michigan story, although I don't think there's a lot there, but we'll get into it, play the hits and all that. And then, look, we got the massive LSU South Carolina game coming up. We got new coaching hires to talk about and break down. We got Munchies coming up, so it's going to be a great show today. How are we all feeling, Jake?
Without getting into it too much, because we're going to get into it, excited because the Chargers hired a coach that's actually coaching the NFL. The last three that they've hired have been first-time head coaches, and so they learned from those mistakes, hopefully, and can't wait to get into it later on in the show.
Alondra, what's up? How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I love the whole coaching carousel going on right now.
It's good. It's great for us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Just keep on extending it.
In this little bit of a relative dead period.
Right,
although certainly basketball is going on right now, right? But as we bridge the gap until baseball as well, this is nice. This is definitely nice to be able to talk about. Taylor, what about you?
I don't know how to follow that. I mean, she's doing great. I'm doing good as well.
Great's not good.
Great, yeah.
Good's not great.
That's why
I'm doing better.
You said good as well. So, but like as well implies
you're doing
that
like a step worse
Jake
than
said
I
he was doing good.
Yes.
So I said good as well. And then I said, I don't know if I can follow
I
that
was excited.
She said she was doing great.
Touche.
I said really good.
I will accept that you turned my verbal. That was a good verbal riposte by you. Well done.
I don't know.
Why are you feeling good?
Just in a good mood. Got a lot done yesterday. It's LAB video season, and all of them are behind me as of yesterday. So
nice.
Workload lightened up a little bit, yeah.
All right, so let's talk about Brian Kelly to Michigan. Now, off the jump, the main point why I think this story doesn't matter that much is because all the reporting is saying that Chiron Moore is the target, is meeting with Michigan officials today, is already reaching out to other to potential staff members and candidates. So this feels like it's Chiron Moore. written all over it. So I think that the question is, okay, well then why, right? And I think there we arrive at the first point of why I think it is crazy to think that Brian Kelly, and again, not to say that this couldn't happen, because I've been in this job long enough and I'm not naive enough to pretend like, everything's always on the table in some sense. So sometimes you're going to get these long odds, insane moments that you never would have expected. But from a cold, logical standpoint, this move would be crazy. And as I said, first off, one of the main differences, and the reason why you're targeting Chiron more if you're Michigan, Jake, is because Brian Kelly would not be taking over a bad program in which you can reshape it in your image. That's exactly what he was able to do here at LSU. He would be taking over an established culture that has been cultivated and pruned and grown for 9 years and just culminated in a perfect season and a national championship. What do we talk about with the New Orleans Saints? Right? They try to continue, and even Chiron Moore is going to run into some of this, but they try to continue that Sean Payton era, going from Sean Payton to Dennis Allen, and all of a sudden, when you have a new guy following the guy who was great, who was the guy, there's always going to be friction more. Even more friction if it's an outsider,
right,
who's going to come and look to tear everything down and build it back up. And that friction is very hard to overcome, and maybe more importantly, takes time to overcome. Yeah. And that's kind of the second point where I'm at, Jake. Kelly's on the clock. He's 62 years old.
Yeah.
Saban, 72. Belichick, 71. Carroll, 72. What's he got, a decade? Just been 3 years building to this point at LSU. Now you're going to start over and go do that again at Michigan and make new relationships, learn the recruiting scene once again, learn who the people you need to know are. That takes time that I don't know that Kelly necessarily has. And then the last thing I'd say is just that he gets everything he wants from LSU.
That was going to be where I started.
The financial support, the hiring support, the alignment with Scott Woodward. Like very famously, Ward Manuel and Jim Harbaugh were at each other's throats for much of his tenure up there. Michigan is not a school that is traditionally committed to athletics above all else. Which, maybe that's the way you should run it, but it ain't how LSU runs it.
No.
And so,
like
again,
the way you run it at LSU.
Jake, from a cold, logical standpoint, those are my three main things that I'm hitting on. I just don't see it.
Yeah, and I know this rumor got started, 7 weeks ago with Billy Lucci on our podcast with Doring, and then Moscona had a clip, and so like a lot of people have talked about it. I can't see it happening for all the reasons that T-Bob said, and also like you don't leave LSU. Like the one person that left LSU, Coach Saban, it was because he had an NFL itch, just like Jim Harbaugh. And that's why he decided to leave. And then, he wanted to come back, and then it was too late at that point. You have everything at LSU. You have all the resources. You have all the desire. You have all the fan support. You have, I don't want to say easy because it's never easy to recruit.
Yeah.
But you can walk out your back door and fall into a lot of 4 or 5-star recruits in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You can go to New Orleans, you can stay in Baton Rouge, you can go to Lafayette, you can go to Shreveport, you can go all over the state. And so there's so many things that are built in that give LSU a lot of advantages and things that are highly intriguing to head coaches. And it's been a grind for Brian Kelly to build to where they're at right now. Right? The thing that he took over, we know, is right after the Texas Bowl. He was at that Texas Bowl. So he saw the challenges ahead of him, and you get to an SEC championship game in year one. Year two, maybe not where you wanted to go, but still you finished number 12 in the country. Like you would have been on the verge of being in a 12-team playoff. One slot up, and you would have been there. So if that's going to be like your air quote down season, okay, and you're right. You won a Heisman Trophy. You should have won the Blitnikoff. You're going to have 3 first-round picks. All those things are why you're the LSU head coach. And so I can't see a sitting LSU head coach going anywhere else in college football and leaving LSU behind. Like T-Bob said, you never say never in this profession. You don't speak in absolutes. We leave that to Sis, T-Bob.
Yeah.
Get it right?
Look at that.
Got it right again.
Look at that.
That's the second time in a row.
Star Wars guy, dude.
So that part of it, honestly, to me, it doesn't have legs right now. Brian Kelly and LSU are getting ready for winter workouts. They already started those, right? We've seen videos of that. That's what they're worried about right now. And then the Michigan portion of it, Chiron Moore, it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
For where the current climate is, T-Bob, look, he filled in and beat the hardest teams on your schedule Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State, like the game.
Yeah.
Like he's already shown that he can handle that. And also the other portion of it is you don't want all of your players in that 30-day portal window to go into the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Now, you're going to have some, but you would have a lot if you hired anybody from the outside to be your head coach. Chiron Moore's your head coach. I think you have a third of what would go in if it was somebody else coming in. And Michigan has to look at things like that because nobody's available to bring back to you.
I agree. And look, if you look at the rise of Moore at Michigan, he's been there, I think, 6 years. He started as a tight ends coach, and he was the O-line coach. He was the architect behind the back-to-back Joe Moore winners. Could have been back-to-back-to-back Joe Moore winners. He starts calling plays, and while Michigan is not overwhelming from a volume standpoint, that was by design. They are overwhelming from an efficiency standpoint offensively. And again, he knows that culture that Harbaugh has established a better than anyone else would, and feasibly could continue it. And he'll still run into friction. He'll still run into the issues that, like a Dennis Allen or somebody ran into, but it's not nearly as extreme if you try to hit the full reset button with a brand new head coach like Brian Kelly, who, again, is going to want to take. And, I mean, what did Kelly talk about? I mean, Kelly's very process-oriented, right? Like all these great coaches. Has been since day one since he's been here. And what did he constantly say about the process? Doesn't happen overnight. Doesn't happen in 1 year. Doesn't happen in 2. It takes a couple of years for best practices to get instilled, for habits to be formed. And now that he's finally at that tipping point, he kept circling year 3. He's going to go start over and do it all again? I just don't think it makes any sense, except from the perspective of an agent, where it always behooves your client's name to be attached to big jobs, to have the threat of leaving, to get raises and whatnot. But again, Kelly has everything he wants here. Scott Woodward gives him everything he wants. Look at the hires over this offseason and the money invested therein. Look at his contract himself and the financial and job security that he has and how rare that is in college football. And I can't go back to enough the alignment between him and Woodward, because as a college head coach, I don't think there's anything more frustrating than feeling like you have an AD that maybe doesn't support you or isn't on the same page as you, and nothing could be further from the truth here at LSU. So, and Zach Zinter on the Chiron Moore, I forgot to mention this, the Chiron Moore front. Zach Zinter, their excellent leader and captain of that offensive line, tweeted yesterday, quote, "No interviews needed. It's Papa Moore's time." So I think we're going to just get a confirmation that it's Chiron Moore after that meeting with Michigan officials today.
No, you're 100% T-Bob. And the biggest pushback we've heard from people that are like, Michigan's a big-time program. They're not going to hire from within. Not only will they have. Gary Moeller was a 10-year assistant coach that they hired back in 1990 to be their head coach. Right after that, y'all remember Lloyd Carr? He was an assistant at Michigan. They do this quite often. They're a lot like Texas. Anytime Texas is looking for a coach, they say, is he a Texas guy? Whatever.
Yeah, they're Michigan
very similar.
men. They're all
Michigan
about
men.
men.
You hear it all the time. No, not only will they do this, like they have a track record of doing this multiple times in recent memory.
So
that Michigan man stuff, you and I, T-Bob, experienced it with Coach Miles. Like, he talked about it a ton.
Bro, how similar are Harbaugh and Miles, personality-wise? It's actually crazy. Like, you see some of these stories that are coming out. Like, I saw one recruit, I can't remember who it was, talking about how he sat down in Harbaugh's office for the first time, and Harbaugh just sat there for 2 minutes, silent, looking around the room. Didn't say a word. Just sat there looking around the room for 2 minutes before he finally was like, hey. And that has Coach Miles written all of it. Them Schembechler boys are just freaking quirky, dude. And
it's a little bit different. Like, Coach Miles is a little bit more outgoing and like willing to have conversations than Harbaugh, but like some of the stuff that he says and does, and like the quirkiness, the quirkiness, like for sure.
And Schembechler was like that too, right? Like famously. But yeah, I mean, I thought Joshua Perry, an Ohio State guy that me and you do work with sometimes, I thought it was very interesting when he used a lot of the same, because we don't really know the Big Ten like they do, right? Like people from that part of the country don't appreciate the intricacies of the SEC and the cultural things that we take for granted. And so it was real interesting to use hear him use the same language talking about Michigan that we use talking about Texas A&M. Basically saying it's a little culty. It kind of takes a different cat to buy in. And so, just another reason why I think they probably go with Moore. And then, it's almost, this is one of those odd situations where if Moore doesn't work, it still is probably the best play forward. And then if it doesn't work, you give the marketplace a couple years to develop, and then you go after a big dog if you feel like you want one. Like, I feel like you at least have to try this Moore route first and then hit reset instead of just immediately hitting reset off the bat.
So when you start talking about the dynamics of that place and what it is, I was telling you this the other day, like they have, like they name their teams like Team 140, Team 144, Team, and I think this team was 144. But like on the sidelines, all these former players had jerseys on and had a 0 like for the number on the front and back. And I'm like, what's going on there? And I look on the back, Team 138. Yeah. Team 130. I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, what's going on? But like to your point, like that's something we don't know a whole lot about, but like that is like built into who they are. We are not this. We are Team 144 in this long history of Michigan football. So they've got their things in that program, like Texas A&M and others do. But it's just another reason why I think Chiron Moore is going to be the guy. It's like he's already in that. He knows that. He has the identity and the culture and all that already down. And that's what they're looking for. Like they want something like that. And I know somebody inside the chat said, he doesn't even call his own plays. He doesn't design those plays. I spent a week with him. I just spent a week with him. He calls the plays.
Yeah, what do you mean he's on the play call?
He calls the plays. And he said it's Harbaugh's design. Well, every head coach is going to have his fingerprint on the offense if he's an offensive guy. But it is no doubt him calling the plays. Because on the big tight end play that Michigan hit in the national championship game, like the Y over, that was Harbaugh. Like he's like, hey, kind of like Les, I really think we should run it here.
No, but that's known.
Every coach.
No, that's known. I mean, I was reading reporting this morning about even when he was in San Francisco with Greg Roman calling plays that it was understood in the hierarchy that Harbaugh had the power to override and call what he wanted. So that's no. But Chiron Moore was the play caller, and there was no Harbaugh in those big games again, right? That Michigan won. So
I think that helps them, right? See, I mean that helps them. Like he fits already, all that, but it just helps him the fact that yes, he beat Penn State and Maryland, which were good teams. I mean Maryland blew out Auburn in a bowl game. Penn State had a nice regular season, but he beat Ohio State, and we don't have that understanding of what that is because we don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have that one team like. Sure, it's Alabama now, but it hasn't always been them. That to them, we had Ross Bjork, who's a new AD at Ohio State on Tuesday. Like he's already speaking the language of what the Michigan game means. Like it's the first.
A freaking
and
snake in the grass.
He said it's the first thing that they told me when we were driving around campus. He's like, wait a minute, all these M's on campus have red X's through them. This is a little more than even I thought. That's somebody's coming over from A&M. Like, he didn't play in the Texas rivalry because he wasn't there. He was at Ole Miss. But still, like, that is, like, number one on the bullets is Ohio State and vice versa for Michigan. So he did that, and that's going to go a long way. And that might have been the feather in the cap to say, okay, we can go ahead and hire him.
Now let's let Jake celebrate a little bit as his Chargers get a coach with a very good NFL resume. Coming up next here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
What's up, y'all? OTB is so excited to be teamed up with Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding. GEAUX Tommys.com. That's TOMMYS. So go Tommys.com. And when you work with Tommy's, you'll see the difference clearly. Get it? It's window humor. How about this? Why don't you come see Tommy's in real life this weekend at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center? They'll be set up both 10 to 5 on both Saturday and Sunday. And I'm always talking about Tommy himself and how incredible the staff is and the charisma and the customer service. You can get a taste of it. And again, at Tommy's, look, I'm not saying you just have to work with them, okay? I want you to make them one of your 3 bids for your project. Make them one of the bids and let them sell you. GEAUXTommies.com. See Lamar Dixon this weekend. Go Tommy's Windows Doors Society.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
Join us for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show presented by Rouse's. We'll talk to Luke Johnson about the black and gold and Patrick Wright from the LSU Sports Radio Network getting ready for a big one between LSU and South Carolina. Plus LSU Georgia. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
It's alright. There comes a time. Got no patience to search for peace of mind.
Happening, y'all. Welcome back off the bench. It's a great point by Lady Pex. Brian Kelly's Cajun accent wouldn't fly in Michigan. You know, it's not going to work, dude. Never. You know, he just won't fit in over there. So look again. I think Chiron Moore. Are we talking about Krillin? We talking about DBZ in the chat here? We'll get there later. But I think Chiron Moore is going to be the Michigan's coach by day's end. Barring a snag, he'll be coach. We know that Jim Harbaugh is now obviously going to be the head coach of Jake's Los Angeles Chargers. And I love this quote that he released in his statement. The only job you start at the top is digging a hole. So we know we're going to have to earn our way. This organization is putting in the work, investing capital, building infrastructure, and doing everything within its power to win. Great effort equals great results, and we're just getting started. The only part of the quote I cared about was the only job you start at the top is digging a hole. It's kind of great. Maybe a little bit of a foreshadowing for Michigan as well. Chiron will be starting that job at the top, and it's kind of tough because there's nowhere to go but down from a 15-0 perfect year, but we'll see. Jim Harbaugh, though, just look at this resume, dude. In college, 144 and 42. Of course, he ended on this 3 Big Ten championships in a row and then culminates in the Natty. In the NFL, in just 4 years, 44, 19, and 1. NFL Coach of the Year in year 1. Actually, that winning percentage for a minimum of 50 games makes him the 5th winningest coach of all time from a win percentage standpoint. Guy Chamberlain's 1, John Madden's 2, Vince Lombardi 3, George Allen, then Jim Harbaugh. How about Madden? 103 and 32 in his NFL head coaching time. 759 win percentage. That's I didn't realize that. Like, I knew he was good. I didn't know he was that good. But anyway, the real thing about Harbaugh and Jake, and I'm sure this is what excites you most, though, is everywhere he has been, he affects a year 1 turnaround that boggles the mind. The win percentage for Michigan the year before he took over, 417. It jumped to 781. For the Niners, it was 375. I think they were 4-12 maybe, and then he went 13-3 in year 1. They hadn't made the playoffs in 8 years in a row. He shows up, they go 13-3 and make the NFC Championship. At Stanford, he took over. They must have had 1 win because it was a .083 win percentage, and they actually finished above 500 in year 1.
I mean, they were the laughingstock of college football.
Yes, they were the worst team in college football.
Yeah.
Remember, because it was such a big deal when Richard Sherman caught that ball and they beat USC back in the day. It was insane.
Yeah.
And
they were a 40-something point underdog that day.
Yeah. And so when you're talking about a Chargers franchise that has been bumbling and stumbling for a long time now, a la San Francisco when he took over, I mean, Harbaugh is the perfect. Now, like, Harbaugh's issue has been more of just kind of grading on people over time. But in terms of immediate results, there's literally not a better hire that you could have made.
All right, so the last 3 coaches, as I mentioned, that they've hired since North Turner was let go, all first-time head coaches. You had Mike McCoy, you had Anthony Lynn, and you had Brandon Staley. And so this time they go get somebody that has the resume like T-Bob just laid out. And I played against those 49er teams. They had a lot of talent. They were just missing something. And Harbaugh was that missing piece, and he turns them around. And he makes the playoffs his first 3 years there, going to 2 NFC championship games and going to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? His worst year was 8-8. That was his last year
What's crazy about that, Jake, is in that year 4, and this is why I think he's intense, and he can be grading at people, and you look at him and Ward Manuel, never really get along. After he turned, and how dumb was this on Niners ownership? So he turns them around the manner that he does. Him and the GM, Trent Baalke, aren't really seen eye to eye the more time they spend together. They were 7-4. They lose 3 games to go 7-7. And despite the fact that he's made 3 NFC championships in a row, and they were so bad before, 3 games in a row, they tell him at 7-7 he's not being brought back.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I know. And
then they went and then they hired Jim Tom Sula.
Oh, yeah, they did.
God, what a legend.
Oh, God.
O-line coach.
D-line.
He's a D. Yeah, getting the head job. Talking about sandwiches, his big old mustache. That didn't work. They tried to go Chip Kelly. That didn't work. Like they made a bad choice, but it's wild to me that they would fire him at 7-7 after all that success.
Yeah, and I know they had a little headbutting going on there, but with Harbaugh, you're going to have some of that. He had it with Ward Manuel, as you mentioned earlier, T-Bob. But that's what it is. And this is a coach that has a plan, and he has it a certain way in his mind that he wants it to go. And sometimes you're going to headbutt. But I will say this, for the Chargers, the ownership, they're not going to like meddle in the decisions that he makes. I mean, they're pretty free reign to whoever the head coach is.
And they obviously held off on choosing a GM until they had a head coach, right? They don't have a GM right now. So
Tom Telesco, who was their GM, they fired him. They should have, and then he went to the Raiders. I think he's their GM now.
Ironic, because he got fired after the Raiders game, didn't he?
Yeah.
After they beat him 63 to whatever it was.
Yeah. We want that guy.
And then for a Harbaugh, the Chargers make a lot more sense than did the Vikings or some of these other teams. I mean, he played for the franchise, which can't hurt. But it's the Justin Herbert factor. And Justin Herbert's already really good. But with Harbaugh, it becomes very intriguing to think about how good he could be. Alex Smith is a great person to look at here. Alex Smith, pre-Harbaugh back in the day for the Niners, was 19-31 as a starter. Harbaugh shows up. His interception rate goes from 3% to a league-leading 1.1%. The Niners he's 19-31. They go 13-3. And, of course, unfortunately, this was the Vernon Davis year against the Saints in the playoffs. So the Saints had that record-setting offense. But he took Alex Smith, a guy who people thought was dead, a bust of a number 1 overall pick. He breathed life into him. And though he later replaced him with Kaepernick, he resuscitated Smith's career. And Smith went on to have a lot of success in Kansas City as well. So it becomes very exciting to think if he can help Justin Herbert find that consistency and reach that max potential.
Yeah, I think when you look at the open jobs, this is the quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people have a lot of different thoughts on Justin Herbert and where he falls and is he elite and all that. I don't think anybody can deny that he's not the best situation. Seattle, Atlanta, Washington, like Justin Herbert or Sam Howell, Justin Herbert or Desmond Ridder, right? Justin Herbert or Geno Smith. Which one of those quarterbacks would you want? And so you see that. He played for the franchise. He's somebody he's been in California a large portion of his life. Right, and graduated high school in Northern California, coached at Stanford, coached at University of San Diego. He knows the lay of the land there as well. All the things pointing to it. And it's a franchise that hasn't been, give me an awful franchise in the NFL that just never wins.
I mean, the Browns.
The New York Jets.
Yeah, okay. It's not, it hasn't
we'll go with
been
the Jets. In recent history, the Jets.
All right, since 2010, they've had, 2010, 9-7, 2011, 8-8, 2012, 7-9, 2013, 9-7, 2014, 9-7, 2017, 9-7.
Didn't Staley finish either 500 or one game above 500?
Anthony Lynn and Staley both one game over 500.
Okay, yeah,
now, Mike McCoy was 10 games under 500. I think he was 27-37. But there's been a lot of okay years.
They're on the edge.
Right? There's something missing. And can he be that piece that takes them from where they've been to where they want to go? I mean, he's proven it everywhere he's been. Is he nuttier than a squirrel turd? Yeah, he is. But he is a really good coach, and he is somebody that can go out there and get you victories. He's got his quarterback. The roster's not bad. The roster has great pieces. Now, you've got some salary cap issues, and you've got to figure those out.
I feel like the NFL cap isn't real.
It isn't, but you have some older players that maybe you want to figure it out.
Yeah, you may have to. Maybe you have to do some swallowing in the short term to get to some, maybe to free yourself up a bit. But I guess I've just, after watching Kai Harley operate, and now you're seeing Kai Harley's strategies being implemented more and more throughout the NFL. That's a Saints guy, Harley is. I just feel like smart people can figure out a way around cap problems. If you want. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know the Chargers situation. I'm just saying that.
Oh, it's up there. It's like
surface level.
Chargers and Saints are up there as far as.
And that's the thing. And while the Saints maybe I'm not overly worried about the Saints either. I'm not saying it doesn't affect you at all, but I don't think it's maybe as debilitating as others would point out. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, whatever. The bottom line is this is a great hire for the Chargers. And for Jim Harbaugh, mission accomplished on the college level. And now you get to go chase that one prize that eluded you that your older brother stole from you?
Yeah, so I checked this last night because John Harbaugh was on a podcast talking about this. I was like, the way he's talking makes it seem Jim's older. I always thought John's older by 1 year. I actually checked this last night.
I'm not hating. John looks younger.
So that's what I said. Yeah,
I just saw him.
So he's 61.
Yeah, bro. He's been
61.
He's been coaching in the NFL, dude. You know what I'm saying? That college coach will put them years on you. John Harbaugh ain't had to sleep in no 18-year-old's house. Remember that? Jim went and slept at that recruit's house trying to land him. Like,
you know what the weirdest
John
part
Harbaugh
about that
just
was?
had to go to Indianapolis, stay at a nice hotel, get out the binoculars, look at some times, go to a nice steak dinner with his partners. Like, nah. And then college game will age you quick.
Wasn't that recruit a kicker? Wasn't that like the weirdest thing about it? Like the recruit he stayed the night. It was like
no,
a
it was
kicker.
Aiden Hutchinson. No, I'm just kidding. I know. All right, when we get back, more OTB. We got a new tight end coach in the LSU football staff. We'll break it down next.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Go to All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com, All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. Whether you want to buy new, used, lease, it's all there for you at All-Star. The used is interesting because they're only going to give you a price, but you get Toyota certified used vehicles where you still get that Toyota warranty coverage, which you can kind of customize to the level you want. It's great, though, because what it means is, like, a lot of times you bring your vehicle into the service center and you don't even crack open your wallet because it's already covered. All-Star Toyota Baton Rouge.com. Check them out today. And go check out the service center. All makes and models. Welcome, All-Star Toyota.
Yeah, let them know that we sent you as well. So Jake, T-Bob, OTB, Napoleon might work. If you explain it, I think they'll get a laugh out of it, so you can try that. Buying new, leasing, and always that rental department, everything is available. So Mardi Gras break, if you have a trip coming up and you want to rent a vehicle, something bigger, something better on gas, whatever, reserve that today. All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ford F-150 lifted trucks. $10,000 off new Ford F-150 and 3.9% financing. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
It was a humid day. Barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR. Jim Harbaugh out at Michigan. Who's next for the defending champs? We'll have the latest on the Saints OC search, and we'll recap LSU, Georgia, and hoops. Join us for Thursday's AFR from 3 to 6.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back. OTB, talking some Harbaugh. It's hot in here today. What's going on? You hot?
It's normal in here today. You have sweat on your brow.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm sweating.
Glistening, if you will.
Jeez. Has there been a former player be the head coach of both his alma mater and the pro team he played for? Huh. That's a good question. That'd be
great question.
I doubt it. I would think, but I guess you never quite know.
Maybe back in the day when the NFL wasn't the NFL. I mean, maybe he had that situation. I don't know. I can't think of one.
LSU hired a new tight end coach yesterday, and it was not Steve Ensminger. So unfortunately,
I'm surprised Slinger didn't call all of us and be like, "Would you dummy shut up?"
But it is a tight end coach with play calling experience.
It is.
As Coach Slade Nagel was hired. Great name, by the way, Slade Nagel,
fantastic.
football guy name for sure. He was the running back coach and coach of special teams at McNeese. Another coach with a dash of special teams experience.
Yep.
As we try to figure out exactly what they're going to do there.
He's going to be special teams coordinator, I believe.
Is he? Okay.
As well at LSU,
okay.
yeah.
And then he's been at Tulane for the last 8 years. 7 years he was a tight ends coach. Last year, he was the OC of a good Tulane offense under Willie Fritz and company. His father, John Nagel, was actually a 3-year letterman at LSU from 69 to 71. So this is a guy who's been all over Louisiana.
John Nagel coached Steve Ensminger.
There we go.
Wow.
There we go. Bring it
Alondra
all together.
with the facts. Okay, so there you go. Bring it full circle.
Actually, I got a question for you, T-Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I looked at his resume last night, he was coaching at LSU in 2009.
Yeah, I saw on the post they put that he was coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were on the squad in 2009.
And you look perplexed as
You
well.
do. I thought
What role was he coaching in 2009?
special teams, I believe.
Assistant?
I mean, you were a war daddy. You were on punt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe
It could have been it could have been like a
tickling
quality
something. I mean, you know how it is, dude.
control.
There's a lot of people in that building, and I'm already not exactly the best at.
All right, so while you're looking at the picture, yeah, you're not.
I mean, no, I don't think I don't.
Born in Baton Rouge, as you mentioned, played at McNeese, started out at Northwestern State, comes to LSU, goes back to McNeese later on in his career, and then has been at Tulane since 2016. Every coach that they hired has a Louisiana tie.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. A lot of them with LSU, others from the state, recruited the state. Those things are important. Like we talked about all the talent that's in this state and what's, one of the things that makes this job attractive. But it's also you have to know how to navigate this state. You have to know how to recruit this state. You don't just walk into some of these places and get first dibs. Like that's just not how it is. Like these relationships are built. So bringing in people that already have those relationships, certainly Slade Nagel being in New Orleans since 2016, like he has those already built. Blake Baker has those. Bo Davis has those. Corey Raymond certainly has those. Like everybody that you brought in knows the state. That means they can hit the ground running.
Yeah.
That means that they can, because you still have, there's not a lot out there, but there's still a signing period in February. So if you want to add some players, remember, you can sign as many as you want now. You just got to stay under that 85 number. So you still can add people to your roster in February. They can come in the summertime. Maybe they can help you. But this staff has the ability to hit the ground running because they already know the ins and outs of Louisiana.
So, go ahead, Alondra.
No, think about what you just said, though, Jake. Like, not only does he have experience in Louisiana, he's born in Baton Rouge. He played in Lake Charles. He coached in Natchitoches. He came back to Baton Rouge to coach. He coached in New Orleans. This guy's been all over the state of Louisiana. Anytime you hire a guy, you're like, oh, he could focus on the New Orleans area. He could focus on North Louisiana. This guy's been there, done that all over the state. I think that's the most important part is where he's been.
I didn't have anything to.
Oh, that was Taylor that jumped in there?
That sounded like Alondra. I was looking at you.
Very confused.
You'd be surprised at how often we get confused. I can see that. Yeah.
He also, like, whenever Willie went to Houston, Willie Fritz, like he was the interim coach.
Yes.
For the bowl game. And so that's somebody they trusted to do that and to be able to bridge that gap before they got their next head coach.
I want to get it. Yeah, that's what I was going to say is I agree with everything y'all are saying on the Louisiana front, the recruiting front, but I do want to talk about him on the football front coming up next here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Community Steel Company, communitysteelco.com is the website. You have the need for real steel? Well, I don't know if they have adamantium, but you can go over there to Gonzales, Louisiana and check it out for yourself. And they don't need any sort of circus ringleader sell job because they're just going to sell you. I'm doing very, are you getting the theme here? I got in 3 Hugh Jackman references.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know since you
just
hadn't
going
seen
to
The Greatest
spell it
Showman.
out for anybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. The point is, if you have steel needs, you want to go to the place that's local, that makes everything right there on site, that has the best price point because they cut out the middleman, and that can serve you and your business to the best degree, and that is Community Steel Company.
Yeah, it is real steel that a Wolverine could not go through.
There we go.
It is truly remarkable. Go to the website, communitysteelco.com, where they will show you the greatest show.
He could cut through, though.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net. Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like Vans.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Yeah, so on top of Slade Nagel adding the guy, again, who has, like we mentioned, a ton of Louisiana ties, understands the state top to bottom, and can recruit, you're adding another great football mind to the list. He did a very good job as the OC and play caller for Tulane this last year. And so now you have him, you have Cortez Hankton, you have Joe Sloan. Obviously, Frank Wilson has been in this game forever. Brad Davis as well has served as run game coordinator at different times in his career. Like, you have a staff, and that's not even getting a shadow staff and everything, but football is the ultimate team game. Game planning is collaborative. It doesn't take place in a vacuum with just one genius putting it all together and then going to the rest of the staff and being like, look, here's what I put together. No, it's a group effort. And now you have a group of minds that all have their own individual experiences and strengths that they're going to be bringing to the table. So I think this is and look, we all know that Kelly put a lot of emphasis on the tight end position, and he coached tight ends alone at Tulane for 6 years as well, right? So he seems to kind of check every single box, and it's another seemingly shrewd hire for this LSU program, which has been on a run of shrewd hires here as of late.
So obviously it's the offseason, and you get excited, and you see the coaches that are put in front of you, and, you know, our expectation will go through the roof. We all know that, whatever. But just sitting here in January and seeing the coaches that you brought in and who they replaced, and if you're an LSU fan, how can you not be excited about that?
Yeah.
Now, we know what you're losing as well. We're not trying to pump sunshine into this segment here. You're losing a Heisman Trophy quarterback. You're losing 2 receivers that could have won the Biletnikoff. You're losing talent on the offensive side of the football, and that's what kept you in games, won you games a year ago. But you do have some nice pieces that are going to step in and fill in for those players, and we're excited about those pieces. But it was the defense that hindered you last year. That's the thing that kept you from being where you wanted to go. If you just had a bad defense and not a god-awful one, you probably would have been in the conversation to be in a playoff. Like, I really think that because of what your offense was.
Yep.
And so you bring in, at every level, I think a better coach than left. We talked about it. Right, defensive backs last year and corners and safeties, and no disrespect to those guys, but we went out to practice and we were asking ourselves questions about, like, what these defensive backs were learning. Are they on the same page, right? That's the conversations that we had. And so you get somebody in Corey Raymond that everybody here knows and everybody here respects, and he knows the program. He's been here for so long. And then the defensive line was also one of the position groups. And look, they had unfortunate, obviously, with Jimmy right before the season. He has a medical emergency. Like, those are things you can't obviously help.
Yeah.
But then that defensive line, they're lining up a yard and a half off the ball. They're getting stuck on blocks. They're not using their hands. You're like, who is teaching them this? Well, turns out nobody is what it feels like. And so you go get 2 coaches that a lot of people have in the upper echelon of defensive line coaches. And so the talent is going to be different. The names are going to be different. You have deficiencies, let's call it like it is, at the defensive line position, defensive tackle certainly, and in the back end. Like, you still need to add people. But just the coaching and what we already know about these coaches, makes you feel a lot better about what the situation is as you head into this offseason.
Yeah. I think that's the overall point too. I don't know how good LSU is going to be this year. We still have a lot more fact gathering that has to happen. We'll get reports as we get into summer and camp about how things are going. Like we didn't put him in I guess we did put him in the top 12 on here. I don't think they should be preseason top 12 personally. I think I'm in a little more of a prove it mode. But I do feel much, much, much more bullish about them than I did just a few weeks ago when it appeared that maybe you're going to run back Matt House and that staff for another year.
I mean, we truly thought they were.
Yeah.
Because it was getting down the road, and you're like, huh?
Well, and that's again, credit to how close they play these things and some of the misinformation that I think they likely put out there as smokescreens, and some of the truth that just ended up being untrue, right? Like when things maybe were going to be the decision, and then other things happened to make it become untenable, right? Like that bowl game did not help anything. I'd be very interested to see in a alternate universe. If you went out there and just shut down Tanner Mordecai and LSU dominates that game and it's not such a close run thing, does the staff come back? Does House come back? Like, I think there'll still be changes, but I don't know if Matt House will go. But so whatever. The point is, although I still need LSU to prove it, especially in week 1 against USC, two teams that have very, very similar themes to one another as they're going to be entering the season. I feel much better about their ability to prove it than I did just a few weeks ago. Hour 1 in the books. Coming up hour 2, let's get into some basketball, okay? LSU men's falling last night a close one to Georgia, and then a massive game in the PMAC tonight. Break it all down. Keep it locked here on OTB.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
I want you to go to AccuTemp of Baton Rouge, AccuTempBR.com, where you're going to get that service to the highest degree. All your AC, heat, and electrical needs, you want AccuTemp, okay? Right now, for the month of January, so a few days left, guys, you buy that whole home generator, you get $2,000 off. They also have the service plan to make sure that you are good to go. Your system is good to go. Whenever something goes wrong, you're going to be in good hands. Your home's going to be taken care of. That's what you're buying a generator for, is peace of mind in the first place, right? So take control of your comfort zone. Get that service to the highest degree. Remember, you buy an AC unit right now, you get a heater for free. AccuTemp Baton Rouge.
Yeah, you can get that service, today. Go schedule your appointment. If you've got something going on with your system, or if you just want to make sure that your system is working at its peak performance, schedule that appointment online, top right corner of the website. Click on that. It is incredibly easy. I've done it here from work before. You can as well. AccuTempBR.com.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just...
Good morning. It's 8 a.m. here on Thursday, January 25th. Today in Baton Rouge, you can expect a rainy day with a high of 69. In hour number 2 of today's show, we talk LSU men's and women's basketball. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram at OTB_ESPN and watch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel. Hour number 2 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, what's happening, y'all? Welcome in. Hour number 2 of OTB. Hope everyone's having a great morning. T-Bob, Jacob, Alondra, and Taylor hanging out with you this morning. Talk a lot of football in hour 1. Kelly to Michigan, Jim Harbaugh to Los Angeles. What comes next? Still a little more meat to chew on there, likely. But basketball is in the air tonight. And so the first time ever, ESPN's College Game Day will be coming to the PMAC for an LSU women's basketball game. And it's a massive one. The defending national champions, your LSU Tigers, against the prohibitive favorite to win the Natty this year, Dawn Staley's South Carolina Gamecocks. Of course, last year, these two squads squared up when LSU, I think, were they undefeated at the time? Maybe one loss?
They had one loss.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They had one loss at the time. South Carolina did not. South Carolina handled them.
Yeah.
LSU did not have to face South Carolina. Who ended up getting South Carolina?
Iowa,
yeah.
Because they were on the other side of the Final Four bracket.
Yeah.
They did not have to go through South Carolina, but they did go through everybody else. So, in a weird way, LSU, yes, they are the reigning champions, but they are also the underdog, and they also have unfinished business. They owe Dawn Staley and this South Carolina crew. Of course, Staley also ruffled some feathers when she kind of got into, what could Nikki Vargas have done with this level of support, which caused many people to be like, well, the kind of point is this support comes when you win and whatnot. And look, I don't think it's worth getting into that stuff because I think Coach Mulkey's resume already spoke for itself, and it's obviously now beyond reproach. Taking this team that had fallen so far and immediately in year number 2 finding a way to win their first ever national championship. But this South Carolina team, again, does represent an unattained goal. Unfortunately, and Alondra Taylor, y'all know better than I do, you work these games, you watch these games intimately. Unfortunately, it doesn't maybe look great for LSU from a matchup standpoint.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think it looks great, but I mean, it's a pretty gritty team. They can keep up with them. I just I'm not fully confident in a dub.
She's more confident than me, honestly. I hope I'm wrong.
I was confident.
You think they're gonna, Taylor thinks they're going to get smashed.
I don't think they're going to get blown out. I think they are going to struggle, though. South Carolina still has a lot of size, a lot more than you do. Haley Van Lith was excellent last game. She's still learning the point guard position. She was a 2 guard at Louisville where she was the best. You still don't have that true point guard that you feel comfortable as being the facilitator. Really, when Michaela Williams is running point, that's when your offense has been the best. Not Haley Van Lith. Van Lith's better off the ball, but she's getting better at it. I just think that there's still a lot of work to go right there as far as her being that ball-dominant guard. I think they struggle a little bit. Look, it would not fully shock me if they win this game. I do think they're going to struggle a little bit.
Of course it wouldn't shock you if they win this game. They're defending national champs. They're I feel you. They're the underdog. Go ahead.
I did look up the number. LSU is 9.5-point dogs.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
It's a big number.
And,
especially at home.
People mention, they don't have Aaliyah Boston anymore, but Camila Cardoso has, really taken, she leads that team. She's their top scorer. She's tallying 13 points a game, and their leading rebounder with 10 rebounds a game. So, it's not like they're missing somebody. Aaliyah Boston was good, but Cardoso has stepped up for sure.
A place like
that's
that.
Basically what Coach Mulkey told us on Tuesday as well was that same thing, that Boston got all the credit. But
she was good last year
too. This week about how they don't rebuild, they just reload, and that seems to be exactly what South Carolina.
Well, nobody points out the fact that last year South Carolina had 3 players that were 6'5" or taller.
Yeah.
LSU's tallest player is Angel Reese, who's about 6'3". Yeah. Well, and then you got Aaliyah Del Rosario off the bench, but she gets spot minutes here and there. They still have a lot of size, a lot more than LSU, and that's where LSU struggled last year in this game.
They've got 6'7" at South Carolina.
I think. Look. Okay. So first off, you go ahead.
If you're scared by a dog.
Yeah. Well, look, there's one thing this LSU team is not. It's scared, right?
Right, exactly.
You can't make up for a physical limitation, and so maybe they lean on that physical limitation. But I do not think that LSU is going to exacerbate a physical limitation with fear.
Oh, no.
Right? No, this is a cocky team. This is a team of superstars that love the spotlight. We all know about this team's attitude. and it stems down from Coach Mulkey. It was Brian Kelly who said Coach Mulkey can make a cup of coffee nervous. Yeah. Okay, she don't get scared.
I ain't worried about her. I'm just talking about the vibes in this room. I think we need to send some positive vibes.
Okay,
I ain't worried about
LSU. What I'm getting at is you have nothing to lose if you're LSU.
Exactly.
Right.
You're already supposed to lose.
You
You're
lost
the
to them
underdog
last year and you won a natty.
Yeah, who cares? It's not like this defines your season either way. You got the term and everything. Now, you absolutely, just go out there and just play with your hair on fire, man. Go kick ass. You're on College Game Day. You're going to be on Eagle 98.1. You have, you're going to play in front of a packed PMAC. You got ticket prices in the thousands of dollars. This is the stage that you helped to build. This is the stage that you crave. Just go for it, man. Just go have fun. Yeah, like you said, don't be scared. And I think the crowd is going to be critical because if you look at college basketball, especially, anytime you're trying to affect an upset, the crowd, you could almost argue that the crowd in college basketball has more of an impact than any other collegiate sport. So cannot say it enough times. Get out to the PMAC early. They're having that great party on the plaza at 3:30. Now, if the weather's not great, who cares? It's inside. Doors open at 5:30. College Game Day starts at 6 inside the PMAC, so be ready to go show out there. Show the country what it's all about here. And then at 7, you're going to tip it and let the chips fall where they may.
So I think this is a great team. LSU basketball, of course, defending champions and stuff like that. But you asked me how I felt about this game. And, that's just how I feel about the game. But agreed, they're not going to come out scared. Like I said, they're very gritty. They got that dog in them. So I don't think they're going to back off. They're going to play as hard as they can, and it's going to be a great game at the end of the day. So.
I hope they get in some cheap shots.
Oh my gosh.
Bully them a little bit. You got to get in some elbows, little punches, little rib shots.
Yeah.
I I don't know if you go the full pulling hair route. That's probably a bit
No.
too obvious.
Yeah, don't pull their hair.
But like,
Say
no, I think
pull their hair.
I think. Well, I mean, I don't want to get. I'm saying like when I say cheap shot, so I mean don't get technicals.
Yeah.
Maybe like one good flagrant one to send a message.
Yeah.
But just I mean, so if a person's bigger than you, one of the ways in which to overcome is to test their toughness.
Yeah.
Because big does not always equal tough. In fact, sometimes the opposite can be true because they're so big that they're not used to really being challenged or messed with. So, I would start the psychological and physical warfare early on.
Can we like get one to clothesline one of them?
See, again, maybe that's where you use your flagrant. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
Send the
you're one that
enforcer
you're
in.
like, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like a good clothesline. You know?
Does LSU women, do they have a goon? Do they have a goon a la hockey that they can send in there to just go?
We can always
feel
find
like-
a goon.
Not to take
Not
someone out.
a
just to
goon
send
per
a
se,
message.
but they got a couple seniors, towards the end of the
Yeah.
bench, don't get a couple minutes, and they'll do anything to help the team
I
win.
would
You can get somebody
send a
like
message.
Bartlett out there, somebody like that's been there, done that.
I feel like Morris was kind of like the goon last year.
Yeah, true.
And yeah, I don't think we have any goons. Angel Reese is kind of a goon.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
She
But-
can hit you with like the mental games, And
honestly, like, if you're going to win, Angel Reese is going to have to be at her best to affect this upset. That's going to be tough, because she's going to be banging around down low with people that are bigger than her. But there's a reason why Angel Reese is a bona fide superstar and changed the entire landscape of women's college basketball last year, and that's because she's incredible. So
the atmosphere is going to be incredible. Like
yes.
that we know.
And that's going to be the key to winning. I honestly, I don't think I'm being crazy in that. Like, the juice that these players are going to get from everyone in the stands going crazy is absolutely enough to carry you to an upset.
Yeah, and I know there's rain out there, and maybe the pregame stuff that they had all set up, maybe that doesn't reach the level they wanted to, but it doesn't matter. Just be in the building once the game starts. You've paid a pretty penny for this ticket. We've talked about it. Like, just to get into the PMAC, you're talking minimum, it feels like $250 for anything in the lower bowl. And that was days ago. It's probably gone up since then.
Yeah.
And so I'm expecting it to be at its absolute peak. This might be one of the better environments that building has ever seen.
Look, get out there, support this team. And I would love nothing more than to open the show tomorrow celebrating a massive win for this LSU program. It's one of the few unattained goals that Coach Mulkey has had since she took over this LSU job. Although I don't think she would qualify it as a goal. Obviously, right? She's very realistic about things, and it's just like, look, there's the regular season. There's pre-conference where you learn about your team and you set up your RPI. There's conference where you figure out really how good you are. There's the conference tournament, and then there's the big boy, the NCAA tournament. But still, this would be a great feather in her cap. Win over number one. Kind of a shot back at Dawn Staley. And who knows what kind of momentum it would create for the team going forward as well. So,
General admission tickets on Ticketmaster are going as high as $195. General admission.
I was so jealous last
it's
night.
the Beatles effect, dude, like Coach Mulkey said.
A girl I know on Facebook, she has season tickets, but she was reselling these, and I was like, man, should have done that.
What, resold your tickets?
Yeah.
Do you have season tickets?
No, that's what I'm saying. I should have got season tickets and then resold them for the same price as those.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's not like you didn't like barely miss the mark. Like you what do you mean? You would have had to go back months and plan ahead for this day to make one small payday.
I'm not saying it was something that could be foreseen. I was just like, dang,
I mean,
I
Coach
wish I would have done
Mulkey
that.
did say, well, I got some courtside tickets if they're going for that much on Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess she did say the same thing, didn't she? And I'm kind of thinking in my head like, Coach, I don't think you have to worry about it. I think you do very well, and rightfully so. All right, so get out to the PMAC, get crazy tonight. I can't wait to watch that game. It's going to be electric. Again, college game day here for a women's basketball game, which I couldn't tell from the wording if it's the first time ever at a women's game or if it's just the first time in the PMAC for a women's game. But either way, it's a first.
I know they have 5 scheduled this year. College Game Day has 5 women's games
okay, never
that
mind.
they're
So it's not the
scheduled to
first
go
time ever.
to this year. This might be the first stop. I don't know that, but it just shows you kind of where the game is going. And with the NIL changing college athletics, this is one of the sports that maybe has benefited as much as any. Like you were seeing like true stars, like people that I'll give you an example real quick. National championship pregame show on Sirius XM. We had one guest. It was Caitlin Clark. Like that's the one guest. Like she was already scheduled to come on. They're like, look, we'll keep her here. And like there was no other guest because it was a national championship pregame show. They're like, now we're going to take this one.
Damn.
It just kind of gives you an idea of like some of these stars in women's college basketball that, and maybe we feel it in Baton Rouge because like I went to school like Simone Augustus and like Sylvia Fowles and they were stars, but not to the entire country. But now they are.
It's different. Yeah, it's different now. I mean, like it's the Beatles. It's the Beatles. So we'll see. We're gonna learn tonight. Even though that's actually one thing though that is tough for LSU to deal with. Is it's not just the target of being the defending national champ. It's the target of, oh, wait, they're not as good as us, but they're way more famous than us.
Yeah.
And that, if I'm Don Staley and I'm South Carolina.
It's Dan Lanning.
Yeah, yes, you best believe that I'm leaning into that.
Yeah, you got to have the Dan Lanning speech, even if it's not true. That's what you're trying.
Yes.
We're playing for wins. They're playing for clicks.
Yeah.
Even though we know that's not to be factual because we know Kim Mulkey, we know what kind of coaching style she has.
Sure.
But if I'm Don Staley, I'm absolutely leaning into that.
Yeah, like, okay. They get all the love, they get all the attention.
Yeah.
But you're better. You're undefeated.
Yeah.
They already lost. So it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a war. I think no, that's too soft. I'm not going there. Beat their ass. Beat their ass tonight, okay? Let's go. Go Tigers. All right. More OTB coming up next. We'll recap the men's game from last night.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Get Gordon and get it done. 225-888-8888. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is going to fight for you if you get in an accident and you need somebody who's going to stand up to the big insurance companies to get you what you deserve. Speaking of what you deserve, these great young athletes. I mean, we just spent an entire segment talking about this excellent LSU women's basketball team. What do they all have in common? They own the G team. That's right. And Coach Mulkey. So they getting it done. Follow them on social media at Get Gordon, where you can keep up with just kind of great general life advice, how to protect yourself if you get in an accident, and some content with your favorite athletes. Scrubbing with G Series is particularly excellent. Also, if you're a pickleball player, you should go check it out. Big news on the horizon. Get Gordon, get it done.
Go to the website, getgordon.com, and you can have a chat with them. You can see what they can do for you in the courtroom, cases they handle, all that information on social media. At Get Gordon is always going to be that handle and the phone number. Your area code in Louisiana, followed by 888-8888.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 Black Widow trucks, $20,000 off new Ram 1500 trucks, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Brian Kelly does go to Michigan. LSU should hire Kalen DeBoer. Steal him away from Alabama. That'd be incredible.
T-Bob, how much time would you spend in your group chat with your friends if that happened?
I mean, it just... I can't even wrap my head around the fallout of what all would happen if that was the case. The amount of players that would be incestuously jumping from ship to ship. Like, it's already getting very confusing. I think I would just start bleeding out of the ears. A couple things I want to talk about here. I want to get into the men's game last night. Unfortunately, I'm just going to be honest. I did not get to watch.
Hell of an ending.
I know. I saw that. They came roaring back late, had a chance to win it on a final shot, rims out. Since I can't speak too specifically on the game itself, I'm going to leave that to y'all. I will say this, though. This is in keeping kind of out of exactly what we asked out of this LSU team. I know it's a couple losses, which sucks, but they're hard-fought losses. This is a team that doesn't give up. And they're tenacious. Like, if they can keep this up and finish 500 in the SEC, that is a great year. And it's very reminiscent of the year that I keep going back to, which is that Tremont Waters year in which you kind of turned the program around back then. What were your biggest takeaways from last night, Jake?
They just never let Georgia pull away.
Yeah.
Right? It felt like Georgia's about to make a run. Georgia's out to a 5-point lead, and then you'd come back and you tie it up. And Georgia get out to a 4-point lead. It looked like they were about to make a run. You'd come back and you tie it up, and you love the fight from this team. And at the very end, you felt like they made the plays to win the basketball game. Like, you felt like they were going to win. They took the lead. They take the lead, and then Georgia shoots a three, rims out, and they get the offensive rebound. All right, it's that one play in offensive rebounds that's back-to-back games that it's cost you a victory. Against A&M, it was a whole lot of them. But here against Georgia, it's that last one. And so you let them get the lead, 68-66, but you still have 2 seconds. You're like, what kind of shot can you get in that amount of time? They actually got a really good one. I mean, you talked about rim now. I thought it was good. Like, I was already like hitting it, like, go ahead and count that thing. And it doesn't go in. You fall short. You lose 68-66. But like you said, every time it looked like Georgia was about to make that run to pull away, LSU did not allow them to. That's who this team is, and this is what we asked for. You're exactly right, T-Bob. We knew you weren't going to be SEC champs. But right now you're 500 in conference play. I think you'll probably end 500 in conference play, somewhere close to that, and it's the building blocks. Last year was really, really bad.
It was awful.
I mean, we got to a point, T-Bob, we didn't even talk about it.
No.
Because, like, what are you going to talk about? You win a couple of games in SEC play, you're getting blown out. And even Matt McMahon, I had him down in Destin, like I told y'all, and I was, like, trying to, like, hey, coach, did some good things. Like, no. It was bad. We got to be better. We have to bring in better players. We have to coach for all those things. And they've done that. And so now you go into these SEC games, and look, Georgia's a good basketball team.
4-2 in the SEC.
Georgia's 14-5 overall. They just had a shootout with Kentucky. It was like 104-96. I mean, they can put up some points. You hold them to 68.
Yeah.
So
Tenacious.
this team is going to go out there, be competitive, have high moments. They might have some lows, but it's going to end the day around 500, which is that great building block to go to, well, next year, let's go be 6 games over 500 in the SEC, whatever that jump might be.
What about you, Taylor? What are your biggest takeaways from last night? And Alondra, if you watched the game, feel free.
So I was actually working this game, vigorously taking notes throughout because I was so frustrated. Like Jake said,
yes.
you kept the game within reach. The first 5 minutes of this game told you the entire story. It tells you everything you need to know. They did not allow a single point. LSU did not. Georgia had no points within the first 5 minutes. They only had 1 offensive rebound. You're doing everything right. But you have 5 turnovers if you're LSU.
They just had 0 for the first 5 minutes?
They had 2, but they were free throws. They had 0 field goals.
Okay. Wow. Still.
But, T-Bob, LSU should have had an 8 to 10 point lead, but instead they're turning the ball over. They're throwing it out of bounds. They're making ill-advised passes. They're missing wide open shots under the goal. What should have been an 8 to 10 point lead after the first 5 minutes was a 5-point lead. It was 7-2 after the first 5 minutes because LSU couldn't get out of their own way.
Baby.
They were awful all game long inside the paint, and it's not contested shots. It was wide open layups. 3-pointers kept LSU in the game.
Yeah.
They were 7 of 16 at halftime from 3. I mean, they shot almost 50% the entire game. They also,